Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
This is a great day. It symbolizes much more than we can possibly imagine. Because it represents the resurrection within ourselves, which is part of a process where we come in contact with a higher consciousness. I'm going to focus on two different subjects. One is the history of Jesus, according to the Essenes and the White Brotherhood. The White Brotherhood basically led by Moses. And the Essenes, which were the time of Jesus and John the Baptist. Because there's a secret behind the secret here. First of all, I don't know if you knew it, but Jesus was Joshua at the time of Moses. How many people knew that? Not very many. Joshua is exactly the same vibration as Jesus. So Moses turned over his responsibility to Jesus. And then when Jesus was incarnated, his mom and dad took him to Egypt, which I visited 29 times, taking people up the Nile and initiating them into the temples of ancient Egypt. And it's interesting, while they were there, they built the first Christian church on earth. We were there in 1991. Quite interesting. And on top of that, his picture, not his picture, but different times he went to these different places with Mary and Joseph. And it always said, Jesus was here. Jesus was here. It may have been in the Coptic church. It may have been in some other area of Egypt. But nonetheless, that energy was definitely there. Why did they build the first Christian church in Egypt? How did they know that the inner teachings after the crucifixion would be conducted in Egypt? The big thing involved in a process is the fact that Jesus was born and then went through his childhood, and he and John the Baptist went to Egypt at the Bar Mitzvah, at the age of 12. In the Great Pyramid, Jesus was given a new name. His name was changed to Isa, I-S-S-A. And Isa means leadership, altruism, the inner sun, and the outer sun. That's what the S is. You got an S in your name. You are part of a process initiated in what we call sun temples. Now, the outer sun is governed by this: the tongue, the power of the tongue, the power of communication. The inner sun is the pineal gland. And that is what we are activating, because the Aquarian age is based right here, right now. We are in the Aquarian age right here, in the opening of our pineal gland. And this is when we pray. The power of prayer is much more powerful than we could possibly imagine, particularly in the age of an air sign, such as Aquarius. So what happens here, when Jesus was doing these things, he was saying certain things, preparing us in another age of carrying forth his energy. You see, the whole concept is the energy of Isa. Now, what he did between the age of 12 and 29, when he was baptized by John the Baptist at the age of 29, he traveled all over the world. What was he doing? He was learning about different religions. He wanted to embrace all people of all religions. He had to be taught. And he did, and he stopped by Egypt. What did Egypt teach him? Self-mastery. He was a modern-day Houdini when he graduated. Modern-day Houdini that could do many things with his physical body. Ahmed Bey, the founder of the Catholic Fellowship, was a modern day Houdini. So Hamid Bey did this because he wanted a backup for what he was going to say about what really happened on the time when he was crucified. Jesus could stick pins through his body. He could lower his heartbeat to 2 or 3 beats a minute. He was a complete master. And Hamid Bey, the founder of the Catholic Fellowship, was a complete master also. So all this time he was preparing. Kind of like Moses. Remember, he was on the desert for a long time? He had to prepare himself to be the Messiah. This energy that he represented was total devotion. It's all about everyone except Jesus. That was his philosophy. This was nothing about him. It was all about, and you notice those 2 S's with Moses and Jesus, inner sun, outer sun, symbolically. This whole energy is there. Now, what's happened now is the fact that we are moving into a new level of consciousness. But before that, we have to recognize that Jesus had 12 male disciples and 12 female disciples. How many people know that he had 12 female disciples? How many are shocked about the fact that he had 12 female disciples? Well, he did. And the one in charge of it was Mary Magdalene. And when I was in the travel business for 30 years. I went to many different countries. And I went to France, Rennes-la-Château in France. And there was a temple dedicated to Mary Magdalene. The whole story, the real story of Mary Magdalene, who was, believe it or not, the wife of Jesus. And they had children. And what happened was this story was cut off by the male energy, particularly in the Council of Nicaea. And what they did is they wiped out the whole female power. They wiped it out and said that Mary Magdalene was a prostitute of all things, where she is, and was the wife of Jesus. Now you see, this 124 principle is here. And this 124 principle is 12 female disciples, 12 male disciples of mirrors of Jesus. Now what did he do at the time he was ready to pass on the responsibility? He went to England. And when he went to England, and I also traveled to England, what did he do? He turned it over to the next Messiah, Arthur, who had 12 female disciples and 12 male disciples. The 124 principle was introduced. And by the way, you and I carry that 124 principle too. If you go through your life, they're basically, according to this symbology, 12 males and 12 females that influence our life. It could have been in early childhood, late childhood, your college years, your business years, your family, all the mirrors. We call it in advanced metaphysics magnets and mirrors. But that 124 principle was basically so very important to us. But Jesus said to his disciples, he said, "Don't you know ye are gods?" Who had heard that before? And the disciples said, "Not me, Master. You are God consciousness." Guess what? He was also talking to us a couple thousand years later. Don't you know that you are part and to become God conscious, embracing all religions of all philosophies. That's why we're here. And we had to incarnate in the Aquarian age, the age of the power of mind. I ask you, if you were God and you appeared on earth and you looked around, what would you, who would you say was the one religion? Would you say one religion dominated this planet? I don't think so. I think you would see the good in all religions and all philosophies. That's why Jesus traveled, to experience that, to pass that responsibility on to us. Nancy, thank you for that wonderful introduction. You mentioned the cross symbolizing our physical body. Right? Well, what we carry around with us is the cross. We also carry the symbol of the Great Pyramid. You are the pyramid. Here's the ascension. Here's the king's chamber. And oh, by the way, Ahmed Bey astral projected into the Great Pyramid, and above the king's chamber is the body of Moses and Jesus, representing this movement into higher consciousness of the ascension energy. But now the Star of David enters into the Great Pyramid. As we move downward, we see this energy, the Star of David. And that is called the pit. And the pit symbolizes selflessness, compassion, and giving. For the 29 times we went in the Great Pyramid, when I was on the Egyptian journey, as we walk into the pyramid, there's a place where we go into the Queen's chamber representing the love energy of the feminine. But there was also this energy dealing with the masculine energy called the King's chamber. But nobody ever went to the pit of the pyramid. It was always locked. And there was a stairway going down to the pit. And what we did, we went down there, and what did we do? We prayed into altruism, selflessness, and compassion for the benefit of all people of all nations. Homeless find homes, hungry find food, sick and injured are healed, or peace, or unity, or sharing, or prosperity. Fulfilling our responsibility of being a universal consciousness of embracing all religions and all philosophies. What we may not know is that this is a school of learning. There are tests here on this earth plane. This place is filled full of temptations. And guess what we have to do? We have to overcome every one of them. The tests of the path. And when you think of the three major ones, no one's ever, when I mention this thing, no one ever mentions that I'm wrong. Three major tests on this plane are money, sex, and power. I rest my case. Money, sex, and power, ultimate, positive, wonderful, magnificent energy. But also the temptation, and we all know what it is. No one's ever written a book about it, but we all understand it. And when we overcome our desires, we graduate. And we don't have to come back anymore. Oh, we'll come back for times like this, because you volunteered to come back right now. That's what you did. Yeah. Remember they all gathering together, we're on the other side, perfection, beautiful, fantastic place where we lived. And they gathered us together in a big hall. They said, hey, the Aquarian Age is coming. And we'd like you to go back to Earth. Really? We gotta go back to Earth? Yeah. We gotta go back there. We got a job to do. We have to use the power of prayer, the power of concentration to create a new Earth.
Amen.
Wow. You got to go back and be a co-creator. Really? God consciousness? Yeah, you. You almost did in your other lifetimes, but now it's time to bring forth that energy. So here we are. We're back. And the Aquarian Age is here. And you chose to come back. And you're doing a wonderful job, by the way, but now it's time to accelerate and activate these chakras from number 8 to number 13. Oh, I didn't know you had those other chakras, right? Well, the Essenes knew. Jesus had a lot of those open, probably fully embraced. But now we move into the great power. of creation. To be a creator. For who? All peoples, all religions, all nations, the birds, the animals, the fish. And our motive? All about everybody except us. Just like Jesus. We are trying to bring forth that energy. And on a personal level of Easter, symbol of rebirth, positive change, and rededication to higher principles and ideals. So if we are here to bring forth this energy in whatever way we can, then it all starts with our round table. The biggest challenge of this life is dealing with difficult people. Now I don't know about you, but I've had a few. It's how you deal with difficult people. And what you are involved in your life, and who you are emotionally attached to. Mom, dad, brother, sister, children are mirrors of you from another life. Right there. You earned them because you were just like them. We are reliving our past lives now in the form of magnets and mirrors. And what we have to do, and I'm recommending it very seriously, once you get home tonight at Easter, I want you to bring Mom in front of you. I know I had a nice mom. Your dad. Thank them for being the wonderful example and prototype. And forgive them for not being perfect. Because forgiveness is the greatest tool we can possibly have. We've got to release that past. We can't change the past. We've got to release it and move into that energy. Because none of us are perfect. But we have to get rid of that old if only syndrome. So once you do that, the boss who, by the way, you're just like your bosses at work too. Lock the doors. Yeah. Just like all members of your family. And of course, Judas, the one who really betrayed you. Ever betrayed by a good friend? How about a divorce? You mean just like those that we divorced? Absolutely. That was the crucifixion. And then the resurrection. Because Easter deals with this. We've all had challenges. How did you deal with yours? When you go through that crucifixion, how am I going to get through this? And you do, and you're resurrected. Because that's why the challenges are there. That's why the earth plane is so difficult. Because it's half dark and half light. So what I want you to do is go through the forgiveness when you go home. Whether it be your ex-husband, or the boss, or the corporation downsized, or that best friend who was, we thought he was St. John, and what he did, he betrayed us, and he became Peter. We all have those disciples. So, this is an early Christian philosophy, the Coptics. And we're dealing with diet, meditation, exercise, and self-mastery. We are not a religion. And religion came after with Constantinople at the Council of Nicaea. And what happened? The book of the Bible was not written by God. It was written by men. Men who were trying to control people. And what we have to do is recognize and all religions, all religions are good. All religions are wonderful. But the point here is that we are that energy to become Christ conscious in humility, love, and service. And if Christians believe that they're the only religion and they're going to heaven and, the rest of us may not be going, it's okay. That's their choice. Because this information will not be given in a Christian church. You think that's a good idea? I don't think so. But it's really time to let it all hang out and to recognize that Jesus did not die on the cross at all. He did not die on the cross. He was a modern day Houdini. He lowered his heartbeat to 2 or 3 beats a minute. And if he were taken off the cross and he were examined, we'd say, he's dead. Alan Baker do the same thing. He was buried underwater for hours at a time to stick pins through his body. So Jesus on the cross didn't feel anything because he moved into a higher dimension where he felt no pain. So I suggest you keep this information to yourself. I would not recommend it being shared with your Christian friends. But this is all based on the Essene gospel. This is not Hamid Bey's idea, but here's a book, the Essenes, and here is the fact he did not die on the cross to save our sins. We have to. By the way, which one of you, when your children came home and had a tough assignment, who would do that lesson for their children? Please raise your hand. Who would do that? But Jesus did it, is going to do it for us. But you wouldn't take that test for your kids? See what I mean? Common sense. And the whole point of it is you came back to ascend into higher consciousness, to help people and to serve people unconditionally. So this is the story behind the story about the real energy dealing with Jesus, his disciples, and our destiny is to become a Christ. And in Christ is not a person. It is a consciousness. Whether it be Moses, Mohammed, Krishna, it reached the Christ consciousness. So that is the universal, see the flags of all nations here? They all represent the universal philosophy. Because we're for everyone. We're for all nations and all peoples. People that speak all languages. Because in all tribes. We lived in all these countries. We lived in these places. And now it's time for us to go out in humility, love, and service. And serve. And there are a lot of wonderful people in this room that are doing exactly that. So God bless you. Thank you for sharing this service. Thank you, Nate. Oh, you too. What did you guess? By the way, you were in show business in past lives. God bless.